Hi guys, welcome to Cloud for Academy Springboot complete course part 1. So this course is going to be more than 2 hours. So thank you for listening and watching. So we are covering Springboot 3.2 is latest version. We are integrating multiple features and services of Springboots. So let's get into the session. Thank you guys. Hi guys, I am going to demonstrate how we can create a Spring Boot application, right? So a simple Spring Boot application with REST controller, right? So we can directly create like a project in Eclipse, and then we can add our classes and do that, adding dependency, everything. But the Spring is already provided the Spring initializer where we can create our projects and then we can import into our Eclipse. This very simple way of adding the dependencies and all dependencies and everything. So let's say I'm going to Spring initializer start spring.io. Here is the console. So if you go here, you can Java version and build tool. There are two build tools are there. Gradle is there and Maven is there. We can use any of the build tool, but I'm familiar with Maven, so I'm using Maven. Maven is a build tool which is build and package our code, right? And it will based on our dependency. Dependency means whenever we are compiling any of the Java classes, we have written classes, it has to call some base classes which are already written, right? Let's say we want to write XML parser or CSV file reading. So they are already writing the core logic. So we are extending that class and we are using that, right? For that we need a dependency. So we need to just copy that dependency in the pom.xml. So Maven is providing that pom.xml, and it will automatically download the jar from the centralized repository and into our local Maven repository, local Maven repository. So it will build our code using that class path. It will add that, it will build that. Prior to that, we are using Ant build tool. This is a monolithic architecture. We used that. But in microservice and modernization, we are using Maven build tool, Maven or Gradle. Right. So whenever we want to add a dependency, we can go here, dependency web. Web is like a REST controller. Some default codes will be available. The dependency are already available in the web module. There's a web dependency we are adding. By default, this should be there because embedded Tom cards will be available in the web dependency. And another one is dev tools. Dev tools is nothing but it's only required for our dev environment, not for production environment. We have to remove that because whenever we are compiling the code, whenever we are changing that, we no need to restart the server every time. So we can just save it, automatically it will compile. That's the reason we are using dev tool. So it is only used for dev environment. Okay. So now I am going to here, let's say Cloud for Academy, and project name is let's say consumer. Here also I'm just changing consumer. Okay, consumer Cloud for Academy. So this is jar or warrior. This no need to change it, and Java version is 17. We can put it, and if you once click generate, it automatically will generate the Spring Boot application. So we can go here, and then you can just copy this and go to the folder. I created already base folder, complete course. So I just remove this one, copy here. So unzip it, and then just unzip it. Once you unzip it, then you can just go here and go to Eclipse and then import the projects as a Maven project. Not this is see here, not general. It has to go to Maven, and from the Maven you can select the right folder where you reside that, and then select that folder consumer, and now base folder, and then it will finish. The project will be created. So if you go here and see the dependency pom.xml, it's a definition file like build.xml and right. So pom.xml, see all the dependency is telling Spring Boot latest version 3.2.2, and Java version is 17, and then Spring Dev Tools dependency we have added, Spring Starter web dependency we have added. These are the dependency, and test dependency also added. This is not required because this is used for JUnit test cases we are writing. We can use this, but now it's not required. Otherwise, it will take time to compile the code if you are adding test module. So I'm just removing that. I removed it. So here we need to remove the class as well, test class as well. You can go here, remove the test class, remove it, and now I'm just going to create a controller. Create a folder called controller, and then I'm just creating the controller. Cloud for Academy REST controller. REST controller I'm creating. So whenever we are creating that, we have to use annotation, right? Springboot is annotation based. There are no XML configuration which we need to do like a Spring version, right? This Springboot is everything annotation based. There are no XML configurations required. Simply you can add REST controller, it will automatically inject and it will scan the package and it will add it into the class path, right? So I'm just going to write a method called how get cloud for academy, get cloud for test. I'm adding cloud for test, get cloud for academy test. So this is just API method I'm using. So this is REST API. I'm going to return hello world. So when you are moving to the projects, when you are moving to other demonstration section, I will elaborate the rest more on that. So just I am using only just one basic get mapping notation. This is the REST controller. Whenever we are writing, we need to use the mapping, right? So which path we can give any path here. It's not depending on this one. So we can give any path or same method name or get cloud for test. Any name you can give here. This is REST API method, right? So now I just saved it. Now if we start the server, we have to go to the base consumer application. Here whenever a Springboot application, the Springboot class will be created automatically, Springboot annotation. This will scan and enable auto configuration and add in the class path, everything this will be taken care, this annotation, right? You don't need to do anything. There should be only one annotation should be there, one Springboot application, right? There should not be multiple. It will automatically add it, we no need to add it. Now I'm going to here right click and run as Java application. This will automatically start the Java application, Springboot application. See, now it is started. There are no errors, right? Started with the port number 8080. How it is coming 8080? Because by default the port will start with 8080. If you see, if I go here application, we can change the port number also. Server dot port equal to 8081. Let's say I'm copy stop. You don't need to restart it again because dev tools we have added. Now see, it started with 8081. It started. Now go here and type the application http localhost 8081. 8081. Now application is http, right? HTTPS now HTTP. Now application is started, but error is coming because we are not giving the right REST path. Go to here, copy this path and enter it, slash enter. See hello world. So hello world is coming, right? So this is the way we have to create this controller and then create a method. This is a REST API call. REST call, if you call this, see, this will automatically create a it will return the response. So we can run this entire URL in Postman and you can test it. Since this is a get method, so here we can various things are there, various attributes, and you can use get method or post method, or we can pass the parameters or request to body, and we can send the entire JSON structure, and we can get the response structure as a JSON. This is a simple REST API I just written for you since it's an initial class, but when we initial session, but when you're deep into the session, I will tell you how to add the entire JSON structure, how we can pass request and response. So we'll get in more onto that actually. Okay. Thank you guys. We'll let into this session, and next thing is I'm going to cover it up how we can add the configuration class and how we can do the profiling in Springboot. Okay. Yeah. Hi guys. This session I'm going to cover how the profiling works, what's profiling, configuration, auto-aware, service, repository, right? So profiling basically we'll be using for layering in Springboot applications. So layering means we have the service URL, let's say customer service URL. We are not going to use the real URL in the QA environment or dev environment. There will be different URL or configuration will be there. Like dev will be different and QA will be different configuration and production will be different configuration, right? Yeah, this is called layering the environments, right? So when we are compiling the code, running the code base, it has to take dev environment properties. When I running the code in QA environment, it has to take the QA configuration. So based on the environment, we have to layering. So this is called profiling in concept in Spring Boot, right? So I will get into this code and I will show the changes. Before that, I will just highlight configuration. Configuration is nothing but we can annotation the configuration annotation in the Spring class, and then we can create a bean or whatever classes will be. The configuration details will be loaded during the startup, right? And AutoWare is kind of injecting the or let's say I have a controller, I want to use another manager class, so just injecting that, or it's kind of instantiation. Without explicit instantiation, we can injecting the dependency classes using AutoWare. Just like manager class, I want to Spring Boot has to use the manager class has to call particular service. What it has to do, normal way we are using create new and then manager class. Instead of that, just use manager class annotation. That's it. And service, like this will be used in the service layer, like business layer. That class has to be annotated in the service. This component is nothing but service, AutoWare, repository, configuration, everything will be included in the components. General concept of Spring Boot. And repository. So repository is used in the DAO layer, like database layer. If you are using, let's say I am going to connect to MySQL server, so we have to use repository, right? We have to use repository. So in that concept, we have crude repository or SQL repository. So we have to annotate the repository annotation. So these things we are going to we are going to cover very deep into that when we are getting into further session, right? So now I am going to demonstrate how is working profiling. Okay, so profiling, I have already created a project. So same thing what I do is previous session initializer and then creating the projects, but I only created projects. So I'm going to import Maven projects again, and I'm going to so the C drive, and then I'm going here Spring Boot complete course and demo. So this is called profiling. These projects I have created for profiling. So if you see this profiling, you can see how the profiling I have done. See, these are projects. So every you are creating projects, Spring Boot application orientation will be there, and then client service configuration. So one more thing you need to listen. So here environment, we can get this class. Whenever we want environment details, we can inject this environment and AutoWare. This is a way we have to inject a particular class into the own class. We can inject this dependency. See, if you, instead of if you want to access environment class, we can use just AutoWare, so that this environment class we can access directly. We don't need to instantiate explicitly like environment equal to new, not required. Just AutoWare injecting. That's it. This class will be injected. This is the configuration, right? So if you want to use the particular property file value, so this application.property file, if you go there, see, these are the property file. So in the profiling, I have created application already there. So application -dev means this is a dev property. This property file will be used only for dev environment. They say this connection variable will be configuration will be different. If you see application, this will be different configuration. This is a main, this is a dev environment properties, right? So I'm going to be, for example, I have already a property class and custom property cloud academy profile dev I have added here. Cloud academy profile prod I have added. Okay, so if I want to take the dev property, this property, we can add a property file in the application.property spring.profiles.active equal to dev. So this dev property will be automatically taken there. When it comes to the environment variable, value, this attribute, we can, whenever we are reading the value from the property file, application property, we can use add value annotation, and this annotation you can read out to Spring documentation. There are multiple annotation. Based on that, we can use that. Okay, based on the use cases, we can use that, right? This is simple. Just use all arguments. No need to write any getter setter methods. We can use Lambo. Lambo is used for without no need to use any getter center in the business class, DTO class. Just Lambo, if you are using, automatically it will be generated getter center during the runtime. That's the reason we are using Lambo. See this version I am using. Dependency Lambo, the version number is this. If you know the version, we can give the version number, right? So that's the reason I'm using. So profiling, right, this is the way we have to use profile. Just I created a configuration class and environment auto-wire, and then value I have added. This value will be loaded. So now we need to see whether the value is loaded cloud for academy, loaded prod this value, or dev this value will be loaded. So let's say I have not activated this profiling. So what I am doing is comment it out. Okay, so I have written REST controller, I guess REST controller. If you go this REST controller, I am injecting this controller, the configuration file class. So this is called auto-wire. That's have this here only we have to use auto-wire. So automatically it will be injecting this class and this profile value get mapping. This previous session I explained, right? How the REST URL has to be configured. Get profile data dot get environment variable. Environment variable means this environment variable. This environment variable. What is this environment variable? This is the value. Whether we need to check whether prod value we are getting or we are getting value from the dev property or application property. Okay. I'm going to start the server now. I have started the server. So this is one microservice. Now two microservices are created, demo and consumer microservice. I have not started consumer microservice. I started only demo microservice. So which port it is connecting? 8080, right? So we will copy the URL as well, profile value. Now I am going here, http localhost 8080, and then just put this URL, get profile value. Yeah, now see the value is prod value is coming. Value is prod means what is where it is there. It is loading the base configuration property, not the dev configuration. Okay, it's not dev environment property file is not loaded. If you want to load dev environment, what we have to do? We have to go here and we have to there is a property file changes like spring.profiles.active equal to dev has to be active. So based on the environment we are deploying, we can change this value. This dev means dev, prod means prod. Now I added dev. I saved it. Now I stop it because I will not use dev tools here. That's the reason I am just starting every time. See, I started the server. Server is started. Now I'm going here. Now it was prod. Now I'm clicking this. See, now dev is coming. So the value is coming from the dev property, right? So this is called layering the environment. Based on the environment, we have to copy the properties. We have to use the properties, either dev properties or QA property configuration or production configuration, right? So this is called layering in Springboot. Using profiling, we can achieve this. This is called profiling concept, right? So you can check this code. This is just the main changes. This is the one actually. Profile is active equal to dev, and value can be a number of value we can give, and I just give prod just for differentiating. This is the dev. So if you want the QA environment, we have to change the property file name is like application -QA. Prod means application prod dot properties. So any name after hyphen you can give, it will be taken care. That name we have to use here. Dev QA prod we have to give, and based on that we can configuration. It will load that particular configuration and it will read that. So this is how we can do the profiling concept in Springboot. Right now we're clear with profiling and where you have to use auto-wire. Auto-wire is a dependency injection. Where you have to use component. Where you have to use this service annotation. So now we are clear with that, right? So this is how we have clear profile. Hi guys, I'm going to demonstrate how we can integrate ThemeLeaf library in Springboot, right? Springboot is providing the library called ThemeLeaf, which is used to build a UX like React.js, AngularJS, Like that, theme leaf is a UI UX framework which is used to build a UI design using theme leaf, right, in Springboot. So to integrate that, we need to know what are the dependency we are to add. That's main part. I have created a consumer microservice where I used pom.xml. If you see the pom.xml, Springboot version is 3.2.4, and then Java version is 17, and then theme leaf dialog. This is the main dependency, this one and this one, Springboot starter theme leaf. These two libraries we need to integrate, right? Once we integrated, come to UX you can copy from the internet, and it has to be like HTML content, right? So I just created a home, actually it has to be hosted under resource templates. This is a default Springboot folder. Under that we have to host the home.html. Home.html, if you see that, this is the UX. I fragmented, multiple fragments I created because code will be clean. You can keep every HTML, all the HTML one page, but I just splitted header, main content, footer. If I go to footer, see the footer. Footer, you can place the HTML, all the footer content .html, but only the main thing is th:\fragment footer. This is the main thing. We have to place this footer. If you go to header, same thing. I place it inside the header, th:\fragment header, this, right? All HTML content you can place it, right? If I go to main content, where I can, this is UI logic. We can place our UI logic like this. If I want to include any page, we can include this way. Replace fragment feature products. So like that. Feature product is a page where which are included in the main content page. Recent products. So this way we can include a page in parent page. Another page you can include. So the main thing is this body. Inside the body I added th:\fragment main content, and this definition I added. Right? So this way we can add the content. So inside you can write your UI logic. Let's say theme leaf itself, they are providing some tags, right? Image source means th:: is source equal to, like that you can add, right? If I want, so left navigation, if I see, let's say main content. So if I go to, let's say I'm going one of the included page, I'm going recent products fragment. If I go to recent product, they have written a logic. We are the product object will be there. From there we have to show the product name, everything. So that I will get into the session, other sessions, how we can render the product detail page, product listing page. That time we will connecting to the NoSQL database. That time I will elaborate all the how we can use these tags. Okay. Now for this session, I'll just show you high level how we can integrate HTML and then dependencies, how we can integrate the theme leaf. If I go to homepage controller, this is a controller. You can write API, REST API, and the return type should be model view, and model view object you can create, and set view name should be homepage, not homepage.html, only homepage. Name of the page you have to give. That's it. Now I'm going to start the server. Start the server. I start the server. Now I start the server. Okay. I'm going to, so which port 8081, right? 8081. I'm just typing, sorry, we'll go here, http localhost 8080, and then what is the name of the service? home/home. Yeah, now it's loading. See, 8081, sorry, 8081. Yeah, now it's loading. See, now theme is up, right? See, contents are displaying, HTML contents are displaying, right? So there are some UX issues there, because if I go to header, right, I am using HTTPS URL, that's why it's not working. We are not connecting HTTP URL only, right? So HTTP we have to give, wherever is there we have to use HTTP, and like that we have to see footer, is there any HTTP URL is there? HTTPS, we have to remove HTTPS, HTTP, right? Now we are good with that, I guess. Go to main content, is there any HTTP URL? HTTPS URL, HTTPS, see, HTTP. This should be HTTP. Okay, now it's done. Okay. Okay, now we have to rebuild again, I think. So we restart the server. So I restart the servers. Now I'm going here, I enter. Yeah, now still page error is coming. Still UX are not fitting, UX issue. So we have to see what are the, is there any image? Yeah, img only given, right? Image static. Here we have to place all the CSS, image, everything we can place it here, img, and then we have to place JS folder, JS and lib folder. Okay, all the copy, all the HTML, CSS sources should be placed. CSS and image JS sources should be placed under static folder, right? I created a static folder, right? So brand image. Okay, I'm just saying what is the issue. Inspect the page and what is the issue. I'm just saying. Okay, HTTP is not working. Failed. See, connection failed. Okay, I'm clearing this. Enter it. Yeah, connection refused. Error is coming. See, connection refused. Still some of the URLs are there in HTTP. Connection refused. Console, home, CSS also issued. See, error connected. Stick charges. Why is giving error? Okay, port number is 8080. Sorry, port number we have to change it, right? Header, if you go, now we are running in port 8081, right? So that's why it's not working. CSS, it's not taking port number. Same thing we have to see footer also 81. So we can remove this entire, we can use only obsolete path. Just for now I just added this 81. Okay, and then go to main content. Here also we have to change, right? Anywhere is HTTPS. This is fine. On URL I used 8081. Sorry, 8081. Now we are good to go. Now I just stopped the server. I restarted the application. Yeah, now I'm going to enter. See, clean up the error. I'm just hitting. Yeah, now it's coming. See, UX is working, right? So this is a way we can integrate our HTMLs, right? These are the HTML template engine. Themeleaf is a HTML template engine. It will automatically render and keep the dynamic content, right? So okay, so this is a way we can integrate Themeleaf library. Okay, we'll further session we will be align these pages and we will render the dynamic content. We will call the microservice like feature product microservice. We'll get the feature product, recent products, and then we'll integrate this all these pages while going to the further deep into session. Okay, thank you. We'll look into other. We'll go for it. The next session is we'll integrate MySQL. How we can integrate that we'll see. Right? Okay. Thank you, guys. Hi. I'm going to demonstrate how to integrate Spring JPA, right, and Springboot 3.2. Okay. So prior to that, we want to know what is ORM. ORM means is object relational mapping. So that we can database access layer we can access in the object oriented way, like select query or any fetch query or delete query or insert query or update query, and everything we can do in a object way, object representation way, object way we can do that. That's called ORM mapping, right? So before that, if you without ORM we are directly firing the select query and reading That's a older version. We used to do that actually. Select star from and also insert queries. Directly we are writing the SQL queries. Instead of that, we are going for ORM, object mapping. Means object oriented. If let's say I'm going to insert a customer data, customer table is there. We are creating the customer data entity. That entity we have all the properties, and we call just customer data dot particular name. So name will come. So like that we can represent objected way, like object oriented way. We are representing the database access layer, database. That's called ORM, right? So after that, the Hibernate in before Spring Boot version we are using Hibernate. Hibernate will just support for ORM framework, right? So all the queries we are supporting ORM. So it has a lot of configuration is required, XML configuration in order to integrate this Hibernate. So there are a lot of complexities are there. In order to avoid, in Spring Boot version they introduced Spring JPA, which will support for ORM mapping, object relational mapping, right? So this will it's a upgradation of Hibernate. It's a extension of, you can say it's an extension of Hibernate, but it's not same like Hibernate. It's JPA, which will provide the repository. Let's say we are accessing the NoSQL database, MongoDB, then MongoDB repository we can use API. If we use SQL repository, then SQL database, then you can use JPA repository. So we have multiple repository APIs are providing for Spring JPA, right? It's providing that. So this will support for ORM support, right? Spring Boot 3.2. Now we are going to create MySQL database, and then we are accessing fetch, create, delete, update queries. We are going to fire. Okay, how we can create? We will create a REST component. From there we are accessing the database. JPA, using JPA we are accessing the SQL database, right? Instead of MySQL we can use H2 in-memory database, which can be used because it's easiest. Hibernate is Spring Boot is providing that, so we can use that, right? Instead of MySQL server, that also we can use. Just all about configuration. We can go to the configuration, we can change it, application or property file, but there will be no changes in the database logic. What we are writing the Java code based Spring Boot logic, right? Business logic or database logic will not be changed. Only configuration changes, like your database URL, credential, password, that can be changed when you are switching to MySQL database or Oracle database or any database, right? Relational database. H2 is a relational database. We will look into NoSQL database later after this session. Now I'm going to create a microservice which will access the JPA repository, right? Read, write, update and delete operations. I'm going to, as usual, Spring Initializer, right? Spring Initializer, I'm going to create Maven project, Java, version let it be. The name we can say Cloud4 MySQL. You can say MySQL. Here MySQL microservice, we can see, right? MySQL microservice, right? So database is same, and Java version, and we are going to add the dependencies. One is web we are adding web, and so dev tool we can use this. It can be used only for dev environment because you don't need to restart the server, right? And then H2 in-memory database, H2 database, and then we will use JPA, Spring Data JPA we will use. All these 4 dependencies we have added. Now generate jar. It will create a jar file. It will create a zip file, and I am going to use that. Copy. I am going to C drive, Spring Boot complete course. I am just copying here, and I am going to extract this. I'm going to extract this. I have extracted this, and then I'm going to import this project. Import wizard existing main project. I'm going here, and then what I'm doing is here importing the project. Spring Boot is complete course, MySQL microservice. This is one of the microservice, right? We can say it's a microservice architecture. This is one of the microservice. And I'm going to see open the pom.xml dependencies. If you see the dependencies, where you can see Spring Boot version and Java version, and the Spring Boot starter JPA is one of the dependency, and starter WebBC dependency for REST API we can write, and H2 in-memory database, and test we can remove that because it will take time if we are using, because we are not using any JUnit kind of test cases. So here also I am going to remove this test. And class, there will be only one Spring Boot class will be created, this annotated Spring Boot, because this one microservice there will be one annotation Spring Boot application, right? And then now I'm going to create a first repository, right? So application.property, we can say server dot port equal to 8082, we can say 82, and then for in-memory database we need a URL, right? Connection details. So the connection details I have already copied. So connection details, these are the connection details for in-memory H2 in-memory database, relational database, especially you can say relational database. HTML, H2 driver name, password, user ID. So these are default. This we can use only for testing environment, but this cannot be used in the production environment. This can be used only in the dev environment, just for testing our changes. Relational database. When you are going to production, it could be MySQL or Oracle database or any relational database we need to use. We should not use this. This is only for development purpose, because we need to test our changes, right? All our queries are working, and we can such kind of things we can use this in-memory database, right? I added the configuration, right? Added the configuration, and then web allo. Okay, this also I added, dependencies added, and then I'm going to create a table. So this let's say I'm going to, as I copied here, this is a table name, TL employees, right? So we have to create a corresponding entity here. So what I'm going is create folder entity. If you create entity, so I'm going to create class name called user entity, and then what we need to do is we need to use table and entity annotation. We have to use annotation, entity annotation, right? Entity annotation and table annotation. If you give different table name, we have to use table name, because I'm going to use table name is I'm going to use this name, TL implies. So I have used this table name. And properties, we can use these are the properties. I already added this properties. These properties, let's say ID generated, this is this is primary key, we can use that, and auto generated ID, first name, last name, email, right? And you can use Lambo, because Lambo, it will create a header setter automatically, so we can use Lambo annotation. So but before that, prior to that, we need to use the Maven dependency. You can copy from here. I have already added Lambo, this dependency, we have to use that. So dependency Lambo dependency, getter setter will automatically generate during the runtime. You don't need to do anything explicitly. No need to generate header setter when you are integrating Lambo, right? So these are the properties, and I'm going to create a repository. So whenever we are using JPA, these are the structure we need to do. First entity, we have to create table name for the entity. So that's what I created here. There is an entity I created, right? Sorry, I'm seeing consumer microservice. So first thing is entity. Now entity created. Now I'm going to create repository. I'm going to create repository. Repository folder. I'm going to create repository. Repository I created. Now I created a repository. Repository is an interface. Okay. What is the repository name? I'm going to create user repository. User repository we need to create. That repository has to extends JPA repository. Extends JPA repository. So here the entity name we have to give user. Entity name is user, table name. You can give I think ID could be long, because primary key data type should be long, right? So I just given here, and now repository is created, right? Now we are going to REST controller. We have to create a controller, right, to make the operations. Folder controller. So what I'm going to create is class Cloud4 Academy REST controller, right? I created a controller, so that has to be annotated controller annotation. Annotated controller. Now we have to use service class, but because database logic has to be written in the database layer. I mean service class or DAO class we have to write. But since it's a testing, I can just writing directly here the controller, because controller we should not place the business logic. It should be in the service layer. But just for now, I'm just testing. I'm using handshake. Auto-wire user repository, right? You have to inject a repository because you are going to manipulate the user data. So these are the APIs I'm going to use. These are the APIs. So I'm going to explain one by one. So get mapping is going to get list of users, right? It's going to get list of user type is user entity type, find all. So repository dot find all means this itself, the JPA repository itself, there are some out of the box methods are there, like find all. So we no need to implicitly write, we no need to explicitly write anything. So queries are already available, so we can just call that method since it is a super class is JPA repository. Post mapping means a post method. Request body means is kind of user data which can be sent it through postman. You can just pass the request data. We can go through one by one, and using user ID, this another API, REST API URL. Using user ID, we are passing as a path parameter, and it will fetch the user data. Put mapping is a post method kind of things. We are just request body, we are sending the data to update the user data, like instead of not get name, it should be like first name, right? We have first name only, right? First name, email, and update. This is kind of update. You can say first name, right? Now done. Now delete map means delete method. Delete, put, delete, post, right? This is post, this is put method, this is delete method, right? Get method, these are the API methods, right? And response entity is a Springboot response object, it will return. Now I created 4 APIs. One is for listing list of users, another one is creating the users, and last one is basically using user ID, fetching the user details, and for last one is updating the user and then deleting the user. So all 4 operations we will do one by one, right? This way we could write a REST API URL, right? You can see that. First I am going to going to start the service, right? Let us start the service. Go to Springboot application. We have to always go to the Springboot application. We have to start here like this only. Start Java application. I started. Let's see any errors are coming. Okay. I think no errors. H2 database are started. So now I'm going to access the database, right? So how we can access the database? I have the URL. I already noted that URL. H2 console 8080, not 80. What is 8082? Here you can go 8082. Yeah. See, password is password. This is the default. Password is password. Connect. So now in-memory database are connected, right? So we can execute our changes here. Create table. First we can create the table in in-memory database. Created, right? Tables are created. Now I am firing select query. Select star from. I am firing select query. Like giving the table name, whether it's there or not. You will see any data are there. No data are there, right? So now I'm going to insert few data into that. I'm going to insert the few data. Yeah, inserted. Now noting this table name and select star from. This is a relational database, right? That's why I'm using select query. See, these many records are there. Alex, Brian, John. These are the data are there. Now I'm going to access the REST API. First, what I'm going to do is, these are the REST API. If you go to controller, or logic is there, right? So get users. First is get mapping user URL. I'm going to access. This will call the user repository. I mean this repository, and this JPA repository itself. This implementation will be there, and it will call the find all. It will find all the users. That's what I'm going to do. This is a get method, so we can access in the here itself, in the browser itself, or a Postman, anywhere we can access. Localhost 8082/users. Call users. Oh, errors are coming. What errors you need to see? Oh, errors are coming due to name generation, due to view name generation. View is not specified. There was an error. What is the error? We'll see. Yeah. Now the annotation is it's the errors I identified, because it has to be REST controller, not a controller. It has to be REST controller annotation we need to give, right? That's why it's not working. Now I'm just going to insert the data. So let me insert the data. Let me introduce secure solid exception. Go here. Integers. Sorry, delete we have to fire before that. We have to drop the table, and we have to enter. So this is just like, because it's in-memory database, right? Yeah, now deleted, and then drop and delete, and then we have to insert again. We are inserting the data, right? So now the data is inserted. If we see the select query, we can check how many records are there in the database. Select star from table name. Now I am going to run the query. Query name is user details. It will fetch all the users. Go here. See, all the users are coming. Brian, how many users? Even Postman also we can run the same query. User details. It will see Postman will run by one. So this is the way we can run the get fetch all the users. Another API is user, create user. We are going to create a new user using the user. This is a post method. You cannot run in the browser. So let's say take this particular JSON structure, okay, and go here, copy this, put number, ID is not required because it automatically generate. First name Cloud 4 Academy, last name Arivalagan. Let's say my name Arivalagan. And Cloud 4 Academy, Cloud 4 Academy at gmail.com, right? So now I'm going to run this user. So this is the API URL, right? This post method we can use only post. This is a post method. I'm going to run this query. Let's see, method not allowed. See, get method we use, sorry, post. Now we have to call internal error. What is the error? Springboot data integrity exception. Okay, maybe we need to use ID also. Let's say ID view, insert ID, comma I ought to put, let's say 4. I give 4 and call internal error. What is the error? Yeah, this is a error. Error is integrity constraint error. This is nothing but like we are explicitly passing the key actually. So let's say Cloud 4 Academy I already inserted 1 2 3. I am giving Arivalagan 1 2 3. Here also I am adding 1 2 3. I am adding 1 2 3. Okay. So now I am clicking this button. Record is created. Right. Now I am going here. Let's say I'm executing this, it will insert it. See, all records are fetching. You can check your double check in the in-memory database as well. See, these records are created, right? So this is the way we have to insert the record into the database, right? MySQL database or relational database, right? Relational database. And another URL is using the user ID. This is get mapping. Get mapping, we can get the user details. So just go and give user and slash, and then what is the ID? 1. If you pass 1, it will give the one data. One ID number 1. Name is Alex. If you give 3, it will give 3. First name Johnny. Same thing we can execute here as well. Right, here as well you can execute, but I am just executing the browser. If I copy here 3, see, method not allowed. Sorry, it has to be get method. So now, okay, so this is now one record. So if I go here, I am going to give 2. So number 2 record, whichever it is, Brian Smith, it is displaying. So we can double check by seeing here, Brian, number 2 is Brian, ID number 2 Brian Smith, brian@gmail.com, right? So this is a way we have to use create, fetch and fetch all queries. And last API is update API. We could use update API. Update API is like user ID, and you can nothing, you just go to put method, and update is I'm going to update only first name of this user. Instead of Cloud for Academy 123, Cloud for Academy 123, where it is there, Cloud for Academy 123, I'm going to change, what I'm going to change is Cloud for Academy. Here Cloud for Academy, Cloud 4 only I'm just going to update. Okay, Cloud 4, I'm going to update only Cloud 4, and the row number, primary key is 5. We have to give 5 here. 5, right? 5th record of I'm going to update Cloud 4. Method type name is put, right? Put method, because here it is put mapping. Put mapping means a put method. I'm clicking that. Yeah, it is inserted. Now just go and check. It will check the query. Run select query. See, Cloud 4. But update, we are not passing the email ID. That's why it's null. If you want to update, we can update Cloud 4, right? 5 will update email also. Let's say email, null is there, right? Going to update email, comma, put comma, email, Cloud 4 at yahoo.com. I'm giving. So I'm going to update it. Now it's updated. Go here, check the database. Yeah, Cloud 4 Yahoo update. This is all update query, right? So this is a way we need to update the relational database. This is the logic. If I want to remove, then same thing, we need to go here, Postman. Instead of put method, we will use delete method. Delete, and then ID number 5 needs to be deleted, right? User, and this is a primary key, path URL parameter. Click this, it will be deleted. Now go here, run this query. Number 5 is deleted. If you want to delete 4th record, just go here, pass it here, path variable 4. This is a primary key ID actually. So method should be delete. Now click here, deleted. Now go here, only 3 records. So this is the way we need to integrate Spring JPA, right? So we have to integrate Spring JPA integration. So we have done it. How we can MySQL server or Oracle database, any relational database, we have to use this way. Only we have to integrate. Only the changes is application property. We need to change this URL driver, everything. Rest all like UI logic or repository logic, this controller logic, nothing will be changed. Only if it is MySQL, you have to connect connection properties. Oracle connection URL driver name, password, we have to do that, right? So this is the way we need to integrate the Spring JPA, right? So next Spring JPA we will use with NoSQL database like MongoDB or DynamoDB. We will use NoSQL database. So we will look into this further. Please keep watching. We will look into the NoSQL database. Thank you guys. Yeah, I'm going to demonstrate how Springboot JPA will work with NoSQL database, right? So before this session, we have seen relational database. Now we are going to demonstrate NoSQL database like MongoDB, right? How we can, first of all, what is NoSQL? NoSQL is nothing but is a non-relational database. It's a semi-structured database. It's not, there is no relationship maintained in NoSQL database. It's a key value pair. It's a JSON structure, right? And NoSQL is a good, very good fit for like meta kind of information we can store in NoSQL, and scaling is very easy. It will be good, and unlimited number of data can be stored in NoSQL, and also time to live object, like we want to use session kind of data, session information. So those kind of use cases, NoSQL is the best fit, right? So today, now I'm going to connect how the Springboot JPA will connect MongoDB and fetch the data, right? And second thing is I'm going to create a producer microservice. Producer microservice is nothing but we are not hosting the UI. We just it will connect the MongoDB Atlas, and then it will retrieve the data, right? So that's what I'm going to do second, and connect MongoDB Atlas, right? Product microservice I'm going to build, and then JPA, how JPA will work for, how we'll use JPA for Mongo repository. We need to create and check that, and then testing the producer microservice. Once the producer microservice is working means it will fetch the data from MongoDB. Then what we will do, we will do integrate with the consumer microservice. Consumer microservice is hosting the UI, right? Springboot theme leaf, and it's a consumer, right? This will call the producer microservice. So that integration we will look into it. Next last session is we will render the response which you are receiving from producer microservice. The consumer will render that response in the UI, and it will display that. So that's what we are going to demonstrate now. Okay, so now I'm going to create a NoSQL. I'm going to create a producer microservice. So again we can go to Spring Initializer, spring.io.2. we are going here, and name Maven, and version you can keep it, and the project producer microservice. Okay, you can name it as producer microservice. Here also producer microservice, right? Okay, and then Maven, and Springboot latest version, and dependencies web, and then web is default, it will come. DevTools, if you want, we can keep DevTools. DevTools can be, as I mentioned, it will only fit for development environment. And then the last layer, Mongo, because we are using MongoDB, right? Reactive Mongo Spring data. So that one we are using. And we are using JSON. JSON is nothing but it will converting from JSON structure to Java bean, and vice versa, Java bean to JSON string. So it will converting that, right? We are using the JSON API, right? So that dependency we will add it. Before that, I will generate producer microservice. So this inside the producer microservice, we will configure how to connect Atlas, MongoDB Atlas database, and retrieve the information, right? So here Spring complete course, I'm going to copy this microservice and extracting it. I'm extracting this, and then I'm just remove the zip file. I'm going to Eclipse, opening the Eclipse, and then so every microservices whenever we are creating, we need to go to the Spring Initializer, and where whichever dependency we want, we can add it and we can download that, right? So this is what we are doing it, right? So that first we will integrate that, we will do the producer microservice, and all the database logic we will write and we will display. Then we will integrate with the consumer microservice, how to call consumer microservice, how to call to producer microservice, and render the response, right? We are going to see. So I'm going to import the project now. Importing the projects, Maven project, right? So Maven is selected, going here, and then I'm going to the project name. Springboot course here, producer microservice. Copy the producer microservice. Now producer microservice coming, and already consumer is there. We don't want to remove that. Let us keep it. Then all the UI logics are there in the consumer microservice. Producer microservice is a REST API. Just it will expose the API to the consumer, right? It will just fetch the data. If we see the dependency, again we can add the dependency, right? This dependency Lambok, we can add it, Lambok, and then JSON I said, right? It will converting from JSON to Java object to JSON string. So vice versa we can use this API. I just copied this API, Google JSON, and then test we no need to remove this, it will compile time logic, it will take time. Okay, then what we will do now, we are going to remove this test API. I remove the test API, right? So now we are good to go. Now I created a producer microservice which has all the required dependencies, and then I'm going to application.property here, resource application.property. You can change server.port will give, let's say 8083 will give. Okay, and now the MongoDB Atlas we can connect like this, MongoDB Atlas login. I already have the account, so that's why I'm directly going here. If you don't have that thing, you can directly log in. So you can log in with any of the UI, like MongoDB login. I think I came to different window. MongoDB cloud, it's a cloud hosted, right? So yeah, it's coming. So Google login. I'm using, say, Evin Setu. I think I'm using Evin Setu. Line my credential. So whenever we want Atlas MongoDB is hosted, they are allocating free space. We can use that actually. Up to I think 512 MB something is free. We can use it. So if you want to create a database deployment, we have to create deployment. And it has to, you have to select which cloud, and then select that, and then create a database, and then collection, right? That's what you need to do. Cluster creation you need to do. Once you did that, you will go here, connection string, you can get it, connect, click connect. Again I'm going, see the database deployment, connect string, drivers, you will get whichever Java means Java. So Java connection string, you can copy that, okay, and copy and paste it here, copy and paste it here. This like that you have to copy, but one important thing is I have already copied this MongoDB spring.data URI equal to like this. You have to copy, you have to put same thing. See, the URL is spring.data MongoDB URL, everything same. Only thing is username you have to replace, and password you have to put whatever password MongoDB is giving. And then here after @ everything same. Only thing is after this net slash you have to add the collection name. I think table name you have to add here after net. So the URL remains, rest all remains same. Okay, and then the table name you can give here also, product DB. Database name, we have to give. See, every URL will come, we have to replace password user ID, and last slash last URL you have to enter the database name / database name. Here also you have to Spring database name you have to give. Okay, so this is what you have to connect the MongoDB. You have to connect Atlas DB, cloud hosted MongoDB. You have to connect like this way. And if you go to database collections, you can see how many collections are there. Connect means it will give the connection string, how to connect that. I think click projects, Art services, no art services. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to browse the collection tables data. Tables I have already created, so I'm going here. Database. Data lake. Database access. This is a database we have given user details, and I think overview you have to go here. Overview. Connect. What is that? I'm just checking that. Click that. It will give here. Go here, and then info. Collections. CV info. Here you are going to collections. So this will list out the collections. How many tables are created? I have already created inventory database. You can leave it. And stage product DB I created. So here I think set of data will be there. No, nothing is there. Okay. Product database. This is the database name. Inside I have created PIM product tracker, product reviews of product database, product table. This is nothing but a collection in MongoDB we used to call. There are 20 collections are there. See, if I expand that, see color, size, we have multiple collections are stored. The database table I created, which is having the properties. These are the properties like product ID, product name, price, colors, category. So these data are there, right? So this is how we have to create the database and then collection and then things like that. Okay. So I can, if you want to create a database, you can go here, create database name, collection name, and create it. It will create it. Right. The collection will be created. And then you can insert the data into the collection, right? And before that you have to create a cluster, right? Cluster, you know how to create a cluster, right? So now you know how to get the URL. URL you have to go here and you have to get like if you go here, connect. If you give connect, it will give the URL. Drivers, which driver you want, Java, and select Java, it will give the URL. Only thing is after slash you have to give the database name you have to add, and username you have to replace, password you have to replace. That's it. And you give the application. So the application will start connect the MongoDB, right? And then I'm going to create a repository, MongoDB repository, right? Product repository. Let's say I'm going to create a repository. I'm going to product microservice. So we need to access the MongoDB, right? For that we need to create a repository. I click repository, create class name, new, create class, product repository. Product repository I there. Here we need to give product repository should be MongoDB, right? So MongoDB extends MongoDB. So here what you have to do, product, this is a table name, collection name, comma long, this is primary key type. So product we are not created, we will create a product view object, right? View. Let's say the folder name is Vivo, and then product, here is a product. So product will create, because collection name is product, right? So we have to same name we have to create here also. Class name product, right? This is the entity. In our time we used to call entity, right? And document we have to use this way. If you see, product is a collection name, document.product. Document is MongoDB. We have to annotate like this. Instead of entity, if it is relational database, we used to annotate entity. Since you say no SQL, MongoDB, you have to annotate with a document and table name, right? And then I am copying these properties. These are the properties we stored in the MongoDB. So let's say These are the properties I already stored in MongoDB, right? Product ID description. So same object we have to use here, right? So this is kind of ORM concept, right? ORM concept, like object relational mapping, right? So like what we did for MySQL, right? H2 database, same thing we are doing for NoSQL database. Okay, we created it. Now we go here, repository, and import that product. That's it. Now product repository is created. It's inconsistent. It's a product repository. Sorry, it should be interface. Now what we need to do is we create product repository once again. Delete this one. Go here. Create interface. New interface product repository. Extends MongoDB repository, Mongo repository, because we are using Mongo, right? Mongo repository, Mongo. Yeah, now it's fine, right? So now we created this, and we have a list of queries we have to write. These many queries we have to write. One is category. If you pass query annotation, MongoDB way, this find all. Using category, it will fetch product ID query. This is fetching product ID. So this query we do not required. We are not trying now. Based on the product ID we are fetching, I remove this. Count we can keep it. And now we got it, right. If we pass category ID, so it will fetch all the products which are related to the category, right. So which will fetch all the categories. So what I did is I am highlight one more time reiterating. So connection string I added here in the application property, and product entity I created, which is another to document object. So this will whenever storing or retrieving, we have to via this object where only we have to retrieve and store it. And then I created repository. So this will connect it to the MongoDB repository and get it. Okay, so we have created the repository. That's what we did. Repository based on the category ID, we need to fetch all the products which are related to that. If you go to MongoDB, I can show that, right, how we can get that. Go to deployment, maybe overview, right? Overview, browse collection. So this will, so basically we are going to database, product database, and then product collection. So collection, if you see, these are the fields are there, right? Reviews, ratings. So leave this one. Only one is review event. Product. You see product. See price, product name, product ID, size, colors, category, product type, description. Whatever we created, same thing, same data will be created in product. Color, product type, size, colors, these things. Okay. Now I created a collection repository. Now I am going to create a controller, right? Controller I am going to create. Before controller itself, we can place the logic, or what we can do is we can use manager layer, manager class. Let's say I am going to create manager folder, manager. You come here, manager class. Yeah, I created a manager folder where we will host the manager service. Like example, you could name it client service API. You can name it client service API. Okay, inside client service API, you can place this logic. Like you can copy this method, product repository. First we will copy this, auto, AutoWare, right? It will injection. injection. The bean, if you want to inject, you can inject it. This should be annotated with the service annotation because this is a service class, right? Business logic we are written here. So product repository given. After that, we have to access the repository, right? MongoDB repository. So that's the reason I'm writing the code here. If you see this code, product list, first list, and then product, and then product fetch product by category ID, right? Category are giving product list repository dot find all. We are just calling find all, passing the category ID. It will go to repository method. Is out of the box method. Mongo repository, right? This is a repository. See, this is a repository. Mongo repository to Mongo repository. Here, if you see find all, we have already written that. That class it will go there, and then it will fetch that. So here logger product is null and find the default category. If both are null means default category it will come. Otherwise it will get the past category ID is product, it will come. So we have a logger. We can use the logger. Logger is bundled as part of the web API. Web dependency it will come. So we can use the logger. We can add logger. Logger client service API. Just put that. Yeah. See now logger. We are going a logging. So we just expand it. Log. Okay, sorry. SL4J. This also will make it SL4J. SL4J. Yeah, now it's coming. So now logging that data. Now we want to print some data. Exception, any error, we need to use the printing the data, right? And then now I created a manager class where this will call the repository, Mongo repository, and find the category ID. This logic is written. Now I'm going to create a producer controller, right? We need a controller. So I'm going to create controller. Controller, I created a controller. If you go to controller folder, create producer cloud4 producer REST controller. Producer REST controller. If you give producer REST controller annotation REST controller, just put the REST controller. Okay. Once you given that, go here, controller. We have written, right, controller logic. So controller, I just already copied. I just copy that code. So we have write a method. If you see here, request mapping is a REST API, right? Request mapping path equal to, you can give directly like, you can remove this, fetch product category, product using category / category ID. This is a path parameter. So if you enter the browser like fetch product category / category ID, it will come. So this is a path parameter. That's it. We are giving inside the brace. And method name is get. We can post, but this is a get method, right? And what is the response body annotation? The response body annotation, it will give the JSON structure. That's the reason we are giving response as a body. Response has to be a string only, but it's a JSON structure. JSON string structure means it will be like key value pair. I can show you in previous session we have seen it, right? Postman, how the JSON structures are coming. So I'll tell you before that. Okay, so that's the reason we are giving response body. Path variable. Path variable means this variable, category ID. So we have to give and printing that logger I'm using. Again, logging, I'm going here, copy SLC4 logging. SLJ4 logging. You have to copy this controller name. So log is will be attached. Logged. And then list product. And then the manager class name. Manager class we have to annotate, right? That's a client service. This is the one. Client service. So we have to go here. What you need to do? You need to put private client service API. C has to be small letter. And then we have to honor this auto auto add, right? So this has to call this. So this is the way we are calling. We need to call this way. Controller, we should not keep any business logic controller. This way we are calling client service API is a manager layer and business layer, which will fetch the data. It will connect the MongoDB repository and return the result. Result is list of products. See the product object. List of products. Products means right, what are the products, right? Whatever the collection is there, that collection data is written as an object, because this is a ORM based object relational mapping, right? List of object, it will return automatically. After that, we cannot return this products directly to the consumer or any UI. We cannot return that, right? It has to be a string. It has to go as a string type, string structure. See, it will go like this. The structure will go like this. If it is, instead of going Java first name last name email, it is going like this way. This is a structure. This structure it will go. Okay, this is JSON, one of the JSON structure. That's why we are using JSON. So I'm going to add another API called JSON. I'm going to add that JSON at auto add. Now auto add. Now JSON is, as I said, it will converting the product data Java object to JSON string. JSON string it will convert. Let's say string object it will go. And then now the controller is ready, right? We have created a controller which will fetch the data. So now I'm going to iterate again. So first we have built a product microservice and then created a MongoDB database, product data DB in Mongo Atlas MongoDB. We added already data is already there. So we are going to fetch the products from MongoDB using category ID. So for that we have written the repository, MongoDB repository, and then we have connection string we have added. In the application.property we added the connection strings, right? We have added the connection strings. So there is no password is ready. Everything the URL should be like this only. We are using MongoDB Atlas, and this is database name. Once we given that and then creating the entity object, this document object. So the result will be binding with this data. That's what we are given here. And service layer we are calling the repository. So repository we have already written product repository. So this will call this find all category method, and then it will return the results, and controller will receive the result and return the JSON structure. Now we are going to test this API. How we are going to test, we will see. So now I'm just going to test that, right? Going to Postman. So first we let us start the server. Is there any error is coming? We will start only producer microservice because we are going to test only producer. Later on we will test the consumer. Okay. So see, this is a product microservice. Now server is started. Yeah, MongoDB is connecting. Right, MongoDB. One important thing is you need to know, whenever we are creating using Atlas, we have to go here in the dev environment, not in production environment. In dev environment, when you are connecting local, you have to put 0.0.0/0 you have to include. You have to add the IP address. So this will accept any IP address from any of the system. That's why we are giving like this. But this should not be in production, just for testing purpose in local. Otherwise it will add every time. Server has to be, when you need to add new IP address, you need to add it, include dynamically. So that's the reason repeatedly it will ask every time. Whenever you restart the server, we have to go here and add the IP address. That's the reason. To avoid that, we added like this 0.0.0/0. Right. So now we started. MongoDB is connected successfully. See, there are no errors. MongoDB is connected. Tomcat is connecting 8083. Right. Now I'm going to Postman. Localhost 8083. I'm going to hit this